Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Awaken Your Truth Conversations. My name is Denise with DeniseSimone.com. And today I'm excited because I'm speaking with Sonja Williams. So after graduating from high school, Sonja moved to LA to become a singer, songwriter, and performed in a band with her sisters. She also had the opportunity to perform in a movie starring Patrick Swayze, recorded an album, and is passionate about speaking up about women's issues in her songwriting. Sonja is also a fitness instructor and an Arbonne consultant and has a real passion for fitness and health. And in 2009, Sonja and her husband founded the Pavilion Church in Nashville, Tennessee, where their intention is to provide a space for people to grow and to find their own true path. So welcome, Sonja.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. I'm so excited to have you here. So the intention of these conversations is really to bring an awareness out of this choice that we all have, right? We can either live from this sort of conditioned state of mind in fear, in limitations, or we could make choices to live from our truth, basically making heart-centered choices that really come from the truth of who we know ourselves to be. And what I love about your journey and your background is that you have so many passions and you have found a way to incorporate them all without identifying with any particular one as who you are, right?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just guess I feel like that everything you can just keep adding to it. Once you find your center and your point of view, from there you can just start adding and it just becomes bigger and bigger from that point.
Yeah. And so I love that you use the word center. Tell me about that. When you say, some people listening might hear that and say, well, I'm not really sure what my center is. So for you, what does that look like? What does that feel like?
Yeah, for me, what I believe is that everyone is on this earth for a purpose, period. Nobody is a mistake. Everybody is on purpose. So I think the center for me is finding first and foremost what your purpose is, and it's usually your passion, whatever you're passionate about. What some of your gifts and your talents, some of them are more obvious than others, and it could just be something in general where you just feel like that you are to be an influence, and that could be in anything, that can be in like in my world in writing music or in music would be my thing, but for others it could be in their job. It has a different face for everybody, and I think what's important is that everyone needs to be true to what their face looks like, if that makes sense. Instead of trying to be like somebody else, they need to be who they are, and that's, I think, where you first find your center right there. You have to be true to yourself, true to who you are, not try to be like anybody else or look like anybody else. So that's like the first step, is just finding that. And then from there, you can just build from that point.
Yeah, that is the first step, but that's often for some the hardest step because, like I mentioned before, sometimes we are being given limitations based on what people tell us and messages that were sent. And we oftentimes believe them, so much so that we don't know that it's not our truth anymore. Right? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, we're conditioned at a young age.
Right. So for you, when you say you graduated from high school and you were off to LA, did you feel a sense of like, I know this is what I have to do? Or was there fear lurking in the background for you? Like, maybe I'm not so sure about this, but you went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah, I call those defining moments. I believe that we all need to awaken ourselves to be aware of defining moments in our life. We have them all the time. Just sometimes we're not aware of when they're happening, or we don't want to believe them. Like you said, we don't believe in ourselves. So, in my world right now, just with what we do, we have and I know you'll talk about this later on, but this is something I talk to a lot of songwriters and singers about, is you have to know who you are inside of this business of music, because there are so many people that are very good, no doubt. There's a lot of people that have the same kind of talent, same kind of gift, but they don't have your gift. Do you see? So when you can, again, I know it's a journey to get to that place of knowing that, I mean, it takes time to know that you know that you know.
Yes.
But once you know that you know, other things around you, all that noise is not noise anymore, because you are sure of your path. You are sure there's a place for you somewhere, and it might not look like what you think it should look like. And that's a whole nother thing, is that there's a lot of things that go on with this journey, is that I call it dying to yourself, dying to your own ideas, and just be open to the doors that are just opening up in front of you naturally, instead of trying to kick something open that's not a natural fit for you. So I'm trying to remember what you asked me originally.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And what I asked you was about the fear, if you did feel any fear making that choice, and you said that was a defining moment for you. So it was kind of like you knew. Even if fear was there.
I was 15 when I sang like publicly for the first time in front of people. And I had a woman, I remember her first name, Lynn. I've never seen her since. And I remember her taking me aside. She said, "I need to talk to you." And I said, "Okay." And she took me aside and she said, "You have a gift here. You have a gift not only to sing, but you have people feel what you're feeling. You're very genuine." And I remember at that moment, it clicked with me. Like, I knew that was true. I knew that was right. And I went with that. And from that point on, I never looked back. I knew that it witnessed in my spirit.
Yeah.
So it was true for me. And so that's when my journey began.
That is incredible. And I would call that woman Grace, who entered into your life, right? Because sometimes it just takes that one person to confirm what we know for ourselves, and that sets us off on the path.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. I think for all of us, ever since then too, and these are little things that I take with me all my life. I think of that woman, and I think, I have that ability too, to help people get on their paths. And that's why, because that happened to me, that's why I have a passion to help people, because I know how that just completely turned my world around and my life around. I believed that I could, she believed in me, and I believed that I could do that too.
Yeah. That's awesome. So as you were on your path with your sisters in the band, and I know you had a few different things happen during that time, did you come up against any challenges?
Oh, sure. I mean, even though we're sisters, we still had our own ideas about things. I mean, we had the same passion to do music and to have that harmonies. And, the three of us too, we used to go, my family had a cabin in Lake Tahoe. I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then later moved to Los Angeles. But we had a cabin in Lake Tahoe, so we would go up there and see all these acts often at all the casinos. It was just like our favorite thing to do. And one time we saw the Osmonds, and I remember we were going to see Bill Cosby, and he was completely booked up, and so the Osmonds were open, and we're like, well, let's go see them. And talk about defining moments. That was another takeaway. We walked away saying, wow, that was the most incredible show that we had ever seen, which was so funny, because I didn't expect that in a million years, but yet it was so on purpose. So that was just such another defining moment in my life. I talk about defining moments all the time, because I think if we're awakened to them, that's what helps us get on our path, is being aware of things that are, but what you're feeling at the moment, or, you're taking in. So, being in Tahoe was like a whole nother time of our life where we saw things so clearly. I saw it clearly, but in that, even though we're family, we still had our challenges. We still had our own ideas, but music is what brought us together. It just continually brought us together. And we did very well for a season of our lives, but we grew a little, we did it for about 15 or 20 years. And there was a point where we went, do we want to continue doing this? And as I had said, one of the sisters had said, no, I think I'm just going to go on a different path. And so from there, we were going to end it all. And my older sister Elsa and I, we were just finishing out a show. This was probably about, I don't know, 8 years ago. We were finishing out a show, and a woman had come up to us and said, "Do you all have management? I want to manage you." And so once again, another defining moment in our lives, because we were about to say, "We're done.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to go do something else, figure out maybe just stick with songwriting or, whatever." And yet we knew at that moment, nope, our career's not over. We're going to continue.
Yes. Little synchronicities that are coming in. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Really cool. So when I asked you about challenges, was there ever a time during that season where you came up against something where you doubted the path you were on, where you and your sisters would have conversations about, well, maybe we shouldn't be doing, because why I ask this is because some people may feel like I'm following my truth, but I'm coming up against these challenges, so then they might doubt them because of the challenges.
Yes.
So what would you say to somebody that might experience that?
I think that's absolutely normal. I think that's just part of life and journey. I don't care what you're doing in your life. There's always going to be a season where you're going to be tested, is what I call it. It is a challenge, but you're going to be tested too. Because I don't think anybody gets greatness until they go through some testing periods and times. And I think that's just for our protection. I thank God for protecting me from maybe times I wasn't prepared or wasn't ready for that kind of bigness, or whatever you want to call it, but nobody gets to that greatness without going through some sort of testing or challenge or time in their life. And so for me, the challenges are more like the doors aren't opening like you feel like they should naturally do. And I tell people this all the time, that just because things don't always run smooth doesn't mean you're out of sync. It just means sometimes you just need to keep that grit in you and just keep moving forward. You feel like there's a weight behind you, but you just got to keep pushing forward. And it's not necessarily that you're going against the grain. You're just pushing through, an obstacle. Yeah. So you really, those are things you have to just kind of discern in your life. There's always just going to be, anybody that you read about in history, in anything, in any area of life, you hear about their struggles and what they went through to get from here to there. So it's not always perfect, and it shouldn't be, because that's how we grow as people. That's how we get stronger. That's how we get muscle.
That's how we develop character.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the discernment piece, I love that you brought that up, because if we don't know our truth, then it could be tricky to discern, right? We have to know that we're coming from the right place within us, and that our intentions are pure, and we have to know our why. Would you say that's true too?
Yes, absolutely. Because that's what's going to get you through. Yes. If you have to remind yourself sometimes of why you're doing what you're doing, and that's what gives you the strength to do what you do. It's just like being a parent. You don't just stop being a mom, just because times get tough. You have to remind yourself at times, no, I'm a mother. I can't just leave. And there's times we all feel like, can we just go to Vegas for a week, leave the family behind? But the truth is, you never stop being a mom. You never stop being a parent. So you have to remind yourself, no, I'm the parent, I'm the mother, and no, I'm not always going to have the right answer, and I'm not going to be perfect. And that in itself is such a real place to be with your children. And I would say that would be the action that I would take also in life, is no, I'm not going to be the perfect singer. I'm not the greatest artist. There's so many people that are so much better than me, and I recognize that, but there's only one me. Nobody else can be me, and I can't be them. Yeah. So I have something to offer. Beautiful. Is I guess what I'm saying. We all have something to offer.
Beautiful. Love it. So tell me about the church that you and your husband founded, the Pavilion Church in Nashville, Tennessee. I love that. Tell me how that came about, and the kind of environment that you created there.
Well, we started it in 2009 in our home for about 2 years, and we built up to about 50 people in our home, and then we found a space. But my husband and I always knew that we'd have some sort of outreach. That was just another part of our journey that I always knew about. I always had such a passion for God and just learning about. I love the Bible. The Bible is my manual, but we all have our own manuals and what gets us through life. So that's been my solid foundation for me. And I just want to say this on a side note. The Bible isn't religion to me. God isn't religion. It's relationship, and that's so different. Religion is rules and dogma, and I don't believe God has rules for us. And then we're constrained. Then we're afraid to take any steps out there. There's such freedom in God that people don't even realize. I feel there's such a grace for living that if you just understand that, then it's not this dogma that people have made it out to be. So that's just my little 2 cents, so that there's understanding of why we built the church. Mm-hmm. So I really feel like that God is just opening up a whole new church in this season of life, and it's going to be very outreach oriented. That's our heart. We have a world of people that need help and need not handouts but hand ups. And we help a lot of people. Yes. Yeah, we help a lot of people that are poor and needy. We have homeless people. We have our church is just not a traditional looking church. I always say we're not going to be a pretty church. We're just going to be a church of very eclectic. We could have the poorest of poor to the most wealthy people. It's the character that people are attracted to in this house, in our house.
Our
church.
It's how you feel when you're
yes.
there.
That's
so important.
It's a neat thing, and we have like a mile away a tent community where there are homeless people that live in tents, and they're completely happy there. Mm-hmm. We're not there to try to get them out of that. That's where they want to live. We've bought them tents. We've helped. We'll go and deliver food to them, and then if some of them are ready, and we bring them to church, and if some of them are ready to go to another level, then we will help get them to maybe a Towers or just some sort of a next step level, and help them get jobs and that sort of thing. And we do a lot of outreaches for people. We do clothes ministries and furniture ministries. Every week we will go deliver stuff to we're in Nashville, so we go downtown Nashville, and for the low income housing and HUD housing, we'll just go down there once a week and we'll deliver stuff to all the people down there. That's and just beautiful. Make a difference. A difference.
Yeah, that's incredible. Love that.
Thank you.
So the last thing I want to talk about is how your journey and this inner knowing that you've always had, how do you bring that message in parenting? How do you balance parenting with also allowing your children to be expressions of God?
Yeah.
Expressions of their own truth.
Yeah. What I tell a lot of parents, what I believe is in our realm, because of God, and I have a lot of Christians in our life, I say, you just have to love them and show them, first of all, it's all about showing. It's just not about, there's a season in life with kids, you do have to tell them things because they're learning from you. They're watching, and they don't know not to cross the street. You have to tell them not to cross the street because there's cars coming, that kind of thing. But you have to be sensitive to when they can start making some of their own choices and decisions. And you can pour as much truth into them as you possibly can as a parent. But there's a point where they have to find their truth. And what I say to parents is that's when you got to let go. Mm-hmm. You just got to let go and let them make their choices and decisions. Do we not remember when we were that age? I remember thinking different than my parents. I remember when I came to my own aha of my truth of God, even though they instilled that in me, I still had to step away from it and look in different areas and read different books and different religions. And I tested it. I tested everything. And that's what I say to parents is don't get all freaked out if they're going to test the waters. Let them. that's even better. We want our children to think for themselves. We want them to find their path and to be strong, because if they believe in something of their own, then they're not going to believe a bunch of other stuff that someone else is going to tell them down the road that could really take them off course and really or be a potentially dangerous situation. We want our children to think for themselves, and we want them to be able to figure out their path for themselves.
Absolutely.
So there's a point you just got to let go.
Yeah.
You literally have to let go.
Yeah. And that allowing of the letting go really creates a more safe environment between you and your child. They trust, they develop a stronger trust with you.
Absolutely, because now you have a new relationship with them. And sometimes as a parent, you just got to pretend you're talking to someone else's child. Give it, so it's not the deer in the headlights look, but it's just smile and put another face on this person so you don't, try to take them off their course.
That's right.
That could,
Yeah, so right on, so right on. So before we conclude the conversation, is there anything you want to share with listeners? Any really important piece of wisdom, advice that you have?
Like we've been talking about, just find what your truth is, and just be open. Be open. If you pray, just be open to whatever, God's going to show you, or whatever anything is going to show you. Just always be open to the truth. The Bible says the truth will set you free. So find the truth, because it's going to set you free.
Absolutely.
That is my advice to you.
Yeah. And when you mentioned prayer quickly, do you have any pointers or suggestions about prayer?
Just be honest, be transparent. God is there. He's alive. So, it's you may not see him, but, we don't see air either, but we know it's there because we breathe every day, and the more that you commune and the more you communicate, he will show up. He will be there. He loves everybody. He is no respecter of persons. Our God is a great God. So just talk, just express yourself.
And be open to the answers.
Yes, that's very key.
Yeah.
Very key. Yeah.
This was awesome. I love talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, such a joy. Where can people connect with you or find your church?
Well, I have a couple websites that they can look at. Pavilionchurch.net. That is all about our church. So it's PAVILION church.net.
Okay.
And if they're interested in my sister and I and our group, we call ourselves the Red Hot Mamas.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, you have to look that up. It's REDDHOTMAMAS.com.
Okay.
And we have a song on iTunes. It should be available anytime. It's called She's a Red Hot Mama.
Love it.
And it's all about how awesome women are.
It's
really a cool song.
Love it. And you have an album out.
Yes, My Lucky Stars and Stripes, and that's a few years old, and that was with my other sister. So this is new music that's coming up with the Red Hot Mamas.
Okay, great.
We're touring around. We're starting to currently, and we're actually going to be putting together a Red Hot Mama tour with women of age, great songwriters, women who've had deals, country music, pop music. They may not be out there anymore, but they're still great women, and they have great music, and they look awesome. Yeah.
So good. Well, thank you so much, Sonja.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, it was such a pleasure. And I'll put all the links down below so people can contact you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. You too.
Hot flashes after baby number 5, but it just don't matter. She can handle all the irons in the fire. Yeah. 'Cause underneath that old mommy